live here, January the 30th, 2020, 8:46 p.m. This is Hannibal here from HannibalTV.com, and this is my weekly Wrestling Observer review. But before I get into that, PW Insider has reported that the man who used to fight for the rights of every man is now taking a second payoff from a place where the human rights situation is just horrible. Saudi Arabia, he's going to be returning to the WWE on their big Saudi Arabia event next month. No word on what his role is going to be. In other news, AEW once again defeated NXT, a 0.34 rating to a 0.22 rating. AEW is really far ahead of NXT in the ratings war. Miz and Mrs., which aired after NXT, drew a 0.18 rating. There was a big WWE management change today. Two members of their leadership is no longer with the company. George Barrios and Michelle Wilson are both gone, effective immediately. And Vince McMahon put out a statement. I would like to thank George and Michelle for their 10 plus years of service and contributions to the organization. I am grateful for all they've accomplished during their tenure, but the board and I decided a change was necessary as we have different views on how best to achieve our strategic priorities moving forward. And I guess the stock has fallen 20% with that announcement. And all I know about George Barrios is when WWE rescinded my contract, the letter that was actually releasing me was from, if I had any issues, I was supposed to contact George Barrios. So that's about all I know about him. The Royal Rumble drew a legitimate sellout of 36,000 fans in Houston, although they did announce a higher number. Apparently, it was 36,000 fans in there. The NXT When Worlds Collide show, also in Houston, drew 3,500 fans to the Toyota Center. Then Raw this past Monday, post-Royal Rumble in San Antonio, drew 8,000 fans. The previous Raw, I guess it was January 20th in Wichita, drew 5,000 fans. SmackDown last Friday from Dallas had a great crowd, 11,900. And I guess SmackDown crowds have been going up really well since they moved to Fox and are on Friday nights. They're getting bigger crowds than they were getting in a long time on Tuesday nights. WWE is cutting way back on house shows. There's not even any house show numbers to report the past 2 weeks. Their house shows have been losing money. This does affect the pay and merchandise sales of top wrestlers. Because for those who don't know, if you're a wrestler working for the WWE on the main roster, every time you wrestle on a house show, you get paid more. And of course, people buy a lot of merchandise at those house shows. So even if WWE's losing money on a show, you're still getting a percentage of the gate and extra merchandise sales. So it is going to mean less money. I guess for NXT, there doesn't seem to be any bonus system like that other than maybe for the big shows. Castillo, I don't really know who this is, but I've heard of him. He's 33, according to Pro Wrestling Sheet. He's re-signed for 5 years. And Mandy Rose has also signed for 5 years. MVP has stated that his Raw match this week was his final WWE match. In the Ring of Honor news, their free show, February the 9th in Baltimore, that's going to feature everyone that's saying is supposedly such a big star, but Nick Aldis is an absolutely free show, and there's lots of tickets left. Pretty much all of Ring of Honor's stars are on that show, and lots of NWA stars as well, including Marty Squirrel and all these guys, PCO. But I find it interesting because I've heard on Eric Bischoff's podcast that one of the issues that WCW had when they gave away a lot of free tickets, they had a much harder time selling tickets in these towns after. And you're looking at Ring of Honor doing a free show here to try and get a good crowd because their crowds have been really low lately. But Baltimore is one of their main towns, so you can't even sell out. You might sell out by the day of the show, but the show's not too far away. You can't even sell out a free arena. And then you're going to come back and charge people. I think that's going to hurt them. In AEW news, their January 29th taping in Cleveland drew 4,800 fans. Luke Harper could technically debut February the 12th. However, according to the Wrestling Observer, he's not expected to debut until March 18th when AEW is in his hometown of Rochester, because he'll get more of a reaction debuting there. Brian Cage, due to his torn bicep, could be out 7 to 8 months, so that's going to affect his AEW debut. Sports Illustrated has reported that Lance Archer is in very serious talks with AEW, and it's unknown if he joins the company, if he'll still be allowed to wrestle for New Japan or not. AEW sold 10,000 tickets so far for their first show in the New York City market, which is actually going to take place in New Jersey, which is actually more tickets than the last WWE SmackDown show at Madison Square Garden. The SmackDown taping they did there sold, which I believe was just over 7,000 or something. However, WWE is apparently tightening up on their agreement with MSG, and it's been difficult for AEW to get in there so far. In Japan news, as I already said, Pro Wrestling Noah has been sold to Cyber Agent, a Japanese media company worth $5 billion. They also own DDT, but that's more of a comedy promotion. I don't know much about Noah, but it's supposed to be a more serious promotion. Supposedly, the promotions are going to be kept separate. I guess New Japan has been in some talks with Viceland, very early talks, according to Dave Meltzer, about possibly maybe getting a U.S. show on Viceland. For the New Japan's U.S. tour, January 24th in St. Petersburg, they drew 863 fans. January 26th, they drew 560 fans in Nashville. And the 27th in Durham, North Carolina, they drew 637 fans. In deaths, Hercules Ayala, a.k.a. Ruben Cruz, has passed away. He was best known for his time in World Wrestling Council, and he was also in Stampede. He died January 22nd at 69 due to a heart attack. Christopher Wilson, 41, known as Justice Payne in CZW, killed himself by jumping off the Walt Whitman Bridge in Philadelphia. And I guess he is the brother of Nick Gage, who I've heard the name, but I can't seem to recall who he is. Carlos Rocha, who I guess is the greatest wrestler ever to come out of Portugal, according to Meltzer. It's not Aldo Montoya, but Carlos passed away January 27th, just before his 93rd birthday. He was born in 1927. He was the oldest living wrestler who had performed in North America. So now Cowboy Bob Ellis, who is at 91, is the current oldest wrestler still living in North America. For the MMA portion of the Observer, I'm going to do that as a separate post because I think it's better to do them as separate posts. From now on, I'll say a couple comments on here. Barlight Broker says TNA is trash. Motor Stash, ROH, and Impact Wrestling should have a show together. They might get 1,000 fans. That's possible, but I don't think Impact gets anywhere close to even 500 fans anymore. I believe both Ring of Honor and Impact are actually doing tapings next month at Sam's Town in Las Vegas, which is a small, very small, like banquet hall / small theater style place. And one of the reasons they do those tapings in Vegas is because it's very easy to give tickets away to tourists in Vegas. They have, like, if anyone that's ever been to Las Vegas, there's people giving tickets away everywhere. So that's probably one of the reasons both companies are doing tapings in Vegas. Will Markley talking about the WWE executive mix-up or firings, I guess you could say. They get rid of 2 people on the board for lower earnings. Try getting better ratings and stop boring the audience. As I said, I don't know enough about what the WWE executives do to know what exactly those people were doing, but obviously the company is losing interest overall in North America anyways, and they're trying to make some changes, maybe to get stock up. As it was reported, it's dropped 20% recently. Colonel Quayle says Hulk Hogan, Grave Digger, R.I.P. Paul GG and Crush Claire say, give me a shout out. Ralph Vaquero says Hulk Hogan coming back. Too many injuries. When you think for the right payday, he'll come back. I mean, the last time he wrestled in TNA, he could barely move. But wrestlers will do anything for pay. And I think Hogan said himself, as far as in-ring competition, like his last match was in TNA. And I mean, it was some type of tag team match. I don't even remember who else was in that match. It was very forgettable. So I can see why he'd want to try and have a real retirement match, as beat up as Hulk Hogan is. Matt R says, speaking of Baltimore, didn't Van Hammer get locked up? Yes, he was arrested for hitting a 5-year-old kid who was on a bicycle on training wheels. Allegedly, he was drunk driving. He injured the kid, but the kid didn't die. He's going to go to court over that. His bail was set. I don't know if he was out of bail or not. He was canceled from WrestleCon due to that. I always thought Van Hammer had some of the worst matches I've ever seen in my life. I know he had a great look, but there's one, I think it may have been Halloween Havoc 89 or 90 match with Van Hammer that stands out to me. Even when I was young, before I was a wrestler watching it, it was like one of the worst matches I ever saw. Someone says Motor Stash, or it's Motor Stash saying this, Van Hammer, bad gimmick, bad driver. So on that note, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to train shoulders and legs tonight. Maybe do a bit of cardio as well. My Kevin Sullivan full career interview for all of the patreon.com/the Hannibal TV subscribers. I finished it finally. It's processing, and I'm going to hopefully have it uploaded by tomorrow night, Saturday morning at the latest. So that's going to be at patreon.com/the Hannibal TV. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, follow me on Twitter at Devon Hannibal or at the Hannibal TV. And I am on Facebook, Devon Hannibal Nicholson.